Hey everybody, it's Matt again. Today, I'm going to be a little rude right off the bat, so just, you know that it's coming, but it's not meant at you unless you're a sales trainer. Today, we're going to talk about sales trainers. Now, for the longest time when I wasn't really good at sales, I always thought that sales trainers they were kind of like Hall of Famers in sports. They were people that did so good and the company thought they were so amazing that they wanted everybody to emulate them. It's almost like having a LeBron James tutor you in basketball or a Stephen Hawking tutor you in math and physics. I just thought that. I mean, most people think that. It's the first people you meet, they're supposed to know everything, and they are the company appointed experts when it comes to sales training. Well, the one thing that I quickly realized when I started implementing these things within the sales cheat code, I saw people going into training, and all the trainers were people that worked around me that were never really good in sales. And it was hard on them. They would have those meetings with their managers they didn't like, and I mean, everybody in the team killed them. And finally it got to a point where you knew that they didn't want to be in that job anymore. Now, they didn't want to quit and go on unemployment and not be able to pay their rent, but they didn't want to be in that sales job anymore. So you know what they did? They quit their job in the department and they transferred to training. And why is that? Number one, there are no sales goals in training, so it's super easy to do. And number two, when you're alone in a group of however many people and you're the only trainer there, it's kind of like you're a 6-foot person in a world of 3 feet people. It's easy to see yourself as the most capable person in the room because everybody else in the room doesn't know what they're talking about. And I'll tell you this, the people that I knew that I've always known that moved into sales training, they sucked at sales. So if you're watching this and you're a sales trainer, you know what I'm telling you is true. They suck, they're horrible. And looking back on it, I was like, wow, why would anybody want to emulate these people? Like, I felt bad for them. It's not like you're taking somebody who's killing it, making tons of money, and having this super easy job, and you're getting paid a ton to do it, and you're listening to them all day. Like, that would be great. But you're talking to somebody who sucks at their job. I mean, think about that. If you wanted to be a computer coder and you just sat in a group and somebody was training you how to code, and you found out that those people sucked and they broke every program they ever put their hands on, you would run out of that room in a heartbeat. Now, in the community, we had a word for these people. And we had a word, the word that we had, and the initials were KJs. They were keyboard jockeys. And so it's an absolute insult, and it's a derisive insult, and it's meant to get people to stop doing it. And so what would happen is we would have a small group on Yahoo, and this is when they had Yahoo groups, and people would talk about kind of what they're learning and what they're doing, and these people would never come, like some of the people would never come out. I don't know if they came out once and got in the group and they just didn't want to come out again, but they'd be on the online group, but you'd never see them. And so they would talk about all this theory and things that they're doing and things they're learning, but they're just not there in the mix. And we completely lost respect for these people because they're claiming that they're really experts, but we know that if they come out and they talk to a woman, it's going to end really ugly because they're not actually building value. They're not even building their own value, rather, but they're just pretending that they are, and they're surrounding themselves with people online to make them feel good like they're part of something, but they're not actually doing it. It's totally fake, it's totally artificial, and they might as well just not be involved. Because whatever they're trying to learn, unless you're sitting here actually making substantive changes in your life and testing them, talking to women. Again, the women were thermometers. They were designed to really tell us where we were at. Because women are smart, they're intuitive. They can smoke out a fake person a mile away. And all the women on here, you know that's true. But when you're actually a high value person, you're building it out, the women are going to want to talk to you. They're going to be intrigued. They're going to want to be around a person who's high value. But these keyboard jockeys, and in the sales world, these sales trainers, they're not. And yet, all the time when we start a job, we listen to sales trainers. Even when you get out of sales training, the managers, I can't tell you how many times I've seen a manager bring somebody out of sales training, and the managers have literally told them to ignore everything you learned. I had one manager who I saw walk a new person over to the break room with their training binder, hold it over the top of the garbage can, and just drop it in. And they said, "You can forget about that. Welcome to the real world." And so when you talk about sales training, you have to realize that everybody that teaches you about sales training, they are not helping you. They are keyboard jockeys. But the people who are excellent at what they do, the top performers, they don't do the sales training thing. They build up their own true retained value, and they just express it out in the world. And the really apex, the cream of the crop, are really leveraging this concept of attraction so that they never face objections. So if this is a world that you want to be in, where you want to go from constantly facing objections and fighting through it to not facing objections and having enough clients, more clients than you probably can handle, and not even working that hard, then what you need to do is you need to tap into this concept of you need to tap in this concept of attraction. And the one thing you need to turn off immediately, you need to immediately turn off your ear to the keyboard jockeys, to the sales trainers out there, because they didn't want to be in sales, but they also didn't want to be unemployed. Those are not the people you need to listen to. Listen to the people who can show you the shortcut, the cheat code, the embedded bypass to make things super easy and to get what you want with barely any effort. It's not a myth, it's just deeply embedded, and it's not advertised. But you're listening to it right now. Next week we're going to get a little bit more in depth on it, and can't wait for what we got next week.